Hello and welcome. Today is Monday, the 31st day of July, 2017. My name is Derek. Let's talk about Bitcoin, BCC, the altcoins, this fork that's going on. And surprisingly, today, this afternoon, I noticed on the YoBit exchange that the BCCs are available and you can trade them. Yes, they gave you the 1-for-1 split. I sold everything that I had this afternoon at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon at around 0.135 or 13.5% of the price of Bitcoin. So that was my bonus, 13.5%. And then the light bulb goes off in my head. Okay, this was a little bit early, a lot early rather. When does Bittrex do their screenshot for the Bitcoins that you have? Is that at 8:30 in the morning? I got a lot of Bitcoin here on YoBit. How am I going to get that over? I can't transfer it, but I certainly can buy alternate coins, transfer those over, then sell them on the market. I bought myself a few Dash, transferred it over to Bittrex and sold. So I needed Bitcoin on there because I'm planning on buying altcoins and some tethers tomorrow. Well, there we have it. That fixes the problem. I even bought a little bit of ZEC and transferred it over. But I also bought some PivX with the intention of transferring it over. But then you go to the wallet page. Nope, you can't transfer the whole wallet maintenance thing. So I'm forced to gamble. I'm forced to gamble by buying a lot more PivX that I really wanted to have. I just bought a lot of them because I figured I've transferred it once before, PivX that is. It doesn't take too long and I'll just sell it on the market and get Bitcoin. But I've increased my Bitcoin number, so we'll see when the snapshot comes in because I know what I had this afternoon before I did all this, and I obviously know what I have now, and it's significantly higher with the Dash and the ZEC transfer. So for the rest of the night, I'm going to continue on YoBit trying to buy Litecoin, ETC, Dash, Doggy, anything that I can buy and transfer over. I don't want to lose at least much on the trade. I don't mind buying and selling Doggy at the same price, but that's really the worst I want to do. I don't want to sell for any more than 1/4 or 0.5% loss, because I know I'm going to get 10-15%, I think, tomorrow. And BCC, I think, has got a good chance of continuing to sell off, but we'll see what the market does. Bitcoin is going higher, and it's leaving the 18 average. It hasn't went up too much, but it's still noticeably up. It's above this key resistance from a few days ago, but barely. It's below this key resistance from many days before then, but again, barely. And this was barely below this point. So it's obviously had this all-time high resistance, significant correction, repeat of the previous level, not as large of a correction, and it's repeating it again. The more likely you test the key areas, the more often it is, the more likely you take it out. I'm thinking around 31 to 32, 33 as the area in which the next leg higher should move up towards. But as we move into this fork coming in at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning, then I kind of wonder after that, is there going to be any Bitcoin decline as people get their free BCC, and there's going to be just a bunch of people that are going to want to sell it after that. So I kind of wonder if that's going to come into play. Take a small gamble like I accidentally did on PivX today and bet a little bit on the tether, meaning it's betting that the price will go lower because my intention is obviously going to buy it back. Realizing that if it fails and I sell it around whatever the price is, we'll just say 31 hypothetically, even if it's here at 28, that if the market doesn't go lower, it obviously goes higher, that if I buy it back at, say, 3,500 in the weeks or months later, that I'm getting less Bitcoin. But if I sell it at 31 and I buy it back at 24, I'm getting more Bitcoin, which is really what the intention of the whole thing is. I'm not going to say I'd buy it back at 24. After all, I don't know where I would sell it because price action will be where it is at that time. I think in the short term, which is the rest of the night and through the next 10 or 11 hours, that this market should continue within its upward trend. On the 4-hour time frame, a lot of this sideways consolidation has been the name of the game. Of course, there's this little move in here, which is similar to this, but not much of a fast move, although quite frankly, it's higher from this low point and resisting quite frequently where it's at now at 28.30. So the consolidation period for when this thing's ready to lift off is, well, anytime you're ready, we're ready to go kind of ordeal. But when you have the sideways movement, you can a lot of the choppy movements is in the sideways actions, because you go down here, you go to a low above the band, and you spend a lot of time going above this 18 average band for a little bit, pulling back, going down below it, which is why some people want to wait for a confirmation of a break before getting into a play. They want to see price action maybe somewhere up here, and then they realize that it's just not the upper end of a resistance area. Although even still, if it goes up there, that's what it could be. But it's very difficult to read this formation, is another way of putting it. Let's take a look at the 1 hour time frame. And it paints in a picture where if this price action can get really into 2,900, there should be a good chance of decent legs or just decent prices going higher. Because after this high, you've had a long correction, and this area resisted well south of previous high. But as it broke above it, which is what it obviously did, you have this situation where it corrected back within it, has had some decent amount of consolidation from this point, that on the situation of breaking above here, well, this thing would be telling me it's ready to get going for a decent size push higher, because it's not that much higher than this point. This had a good price correction, and this basically tells me the leg higher is going to be substantial enough where I think it's worth the risk of buying on a break here for what should substantially turn into many percentage higher, like 5-6. When we look at the altcoins, this being the Ethereum chart, just grinding its way within the 18 average of lows, and it's been the name of the game since really in here. This situation was, trying a big rally, didn't happen, but it's also kept its previous trend, grinding on the 18 average. You could, breaking down below here would result into a decent decline, but it's probably not going to happen. We're moving into, of course, the fork issue, where I think these things are going to start to go higher. Many of these alts are down so much that there gets a point of time where they just go up. People will be buying it, as was the case sort of like in March, where all the alts went up together. It seems like that could be the type of day that's coming into session. When you see this action get well above this, or even up towards this 18 average of highs. I'm trying to get this area and how accurate of analysis this would be. If it makes it up to 83, 84 throughout this day, that is, that it's probably a good sign that just maybe it's going to have continuation within the next several days, that would be. But again, this stems because all of these things are down so much. There was good reasons why recently they've been going down even more. And when they go up really nice, as we've seen many times. But just quickly going over the others, ZEC is obviously in a downtrend. Litecoin, more midterm, is sideways, but in a downtrend for the last half month or so. Dash, of course, has been slowly grinding its way higher, but for the last little while, it's been hanging in there at around the 0.06 Satoshi handle. Ripple, it keeps on getting its ass kicked as it's been having some decent declines from this 10 handle, losing about close to half of its value since its July next leg lower. NEM has been transitioning to a sideways movement for the last few weeks, but the last few days have been grinding lower. Overall, the altcoins are working in harmony. And if all of them are going to go up together, that wouldn't surprise me. When is it going to happen? Of course, I've been talking about there's a decent chance it will in the morning. Time, of course, will only tell, but don't be surprised if every single one of these charts will have a period in which you'll see several days, weeks, and maybe even a month or two go by where they're all going up together. And, of course, time will only tell on that. And when you know that happens, then you just want to buy whatever price you can, sort of like in March when you were buying whatever price you could on all of these things, because the markets were generally bearish for the alts up until then. And then from March into April and again into a little bit of May, all the altcoins, or the vast majority of them, all went in the bull market, a bull camp. They've all pretty much went into a bear or sideways camp. And I think it's safe to say that they're going to all work again together when the time is right for the bull side. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day.